Another perfect day for a country drive in West Virginia. Wait a minute, I'm in Ohio. How did that happen? Oh, these freeways are so confusing sometimes. Oh, but here we go, back in wild and wonderful West Virginia. But oh well, still a perfect day for a drive in the country. And you know, some days you just want to kick back and enjoy the scenery. And boy, is West Virginia full of beautiful scenery. From the quaint little towns to John Denver's country roads, you just can't go wrong driving around West Virginia. But where are we going to go next? Oh, wait a minute. Clarksburg? We haven't been to Clarksburg. So what do you say, Coyote? Ready to visit Clarksburg? And so we were off to another city and another adventure. Hey there, travelers. Chipmunk here, and today we're stopping in a city that's been called the crossroads of north central West Virginia. Welcome to Clarksburg, a town with deep roots, colorful stories, and a spirit that's carried it from the frontier days right into the present. The story of Clarksburg starts way back in 1773 when settlers came here along the West Fork River. The land was fertile and the river was a lifeline, offering water, fish, and a route through the rugged hills. This was still contested ground though, home to Shawnee and other native peoples who lived here and hunted here for centuries before Europeans arrived. For settlers, early life meant cabins, small farms, and the constant challenge of survival on the edge of the wilderness. And golly, wondering how Clarksburg got its name? Well, let me tell you. Clarksburg was named after General George Rogers Clark, a Revolutionary War hero known for his campaigns in the Ohio Valley. In 1785, the town was officially chartered and quickly grew into a hub of frontier life. By the early 1800s, Clarksburg was buzzing. Taverns, shops, and even law offices sprang up around the courthouse square. This wasn't just a sleepy frontier stop anymore. It was becoming a center of politics and trade in West Virginia. General Clark wasn't the only legendary figure from these parts. One of Clarksburg's most famous sons, Thomas Stonewall Jackson, was born just a few miles from here in 1824. Long before he became a Confederate general, he was just a boy from these hills, shaped by the same rivers and ridges we see today. In the 1850s, the arrival of the Baltimore and Ohio Railroad changed everything. Suddenly, Clarksburg wasn't isolated anymore. It was connected. Coal, timber, and goods could move quickly, and new industries followed. The city boomed. When the Civil War broke out, this was borderland. While many around the area had Southern sympathies, Clarksburg ended up in Union hands. The B&O Railroad made it strategically important, and Union troops were stationed here to guard it. The war divided neighbors, but the city endured, and when West Virginia became a state in 1863, Clarksburg was part of the new chapter. After the war, Clarksburg's growth really took off. Coal mining, glassmaking, and manufacturing put the city on the map. Immigrants from Italy and other countries came to work in the factories, and their traditions are still a part of the city's character today. One of the reasons Clarksburg is another home to the pepperoni roll. You can learn all about that in the earlier Quest for Pepperoni Rolls episode. Gosh, now I'm getting hungry. Love those pepperoni rolls. By the early 1900s, Clarksburg was thriving. Streetcars ran through the downtown, theaters and hotels brought excitement, and neighborhoods grew as the population surged. For a time, this was one of the most important industrial centers in the state. Like many towns, Clarksburg was hit hard by the Great Depression, but resilience ran deep. During World War II, local industries supplied materials and manpower that fueled the war effort. The community pulled together as it always had, and the people of Clarksburg weathered both storms of the Great Depression and World War II. Today, Clarksburg is still at the crossroads, where history meets modern life. You'll find cultural festivals celebrating Italian heritage, the Waldemar Mansion filled with archives and stories, and the kind of Appalachian charm that makes you want to sit and stay for a while. The economy may have shifted over the years, from coal and glass to healthcare, education, and technology, but the spirit of the people hasn't changed one bit. Hard work, pride, and community keep the city moving forward. Clarksburg is just one more shining example of what makes West Virginia a place to call home. From a frontier outpost to a bustling railroad hub, and from a glass-making giant to a modern Appalachian city, Clarksburg is a place of reinvention. Its history is written in stone, steel, and stories. And its future, well, it's still unfolding. And now that you've learned a little bit more about this fantastic town, how about we explore it a bit and see what familiar Fallout 76 locations we can discover? I sure hope there's no angry robots or ferals to worry about. Oh, but a pepperoni roller or two, that would be acceptable. So here we are in one of Clarksburg's main drags. Now, as you can see, it's about as pre-war as you can get and doesn't bear much resemblance to the in-game version. There will be spots, mind you, and we'll get to that. But in the game, Clarksburg didn't fare well and it was a hotspot of robot riots. Therefore, the in-game streets are often blocked by barricades and the like. But that's okay. There's a few similar things, so let's go find them and see how closely they match up. Let's start with this Flatiron-style building, the Empire National Bank building, which is on the National Register of Historic Places. The in-game version shares the distinctive Flatiron shape and is about the same color. The top of the real-world version is much more ornate, however, but given the proximity, the in-game version is in the right place. West Virginia really celebrates their history, and almost everywhere you go you can find these wonderful white historical markers that tell all about the locations you're visiting. Most states have these, but let me tell you, I've never seen quite so many as I have here in West Virginia. They're wonderful and really help you understand and appreciate the places you're visiting. Way to go, West Virginia! As I explored the streets, I started to see the layout of Clarksburg was matched pretty well. All those alleys that allow you to evade angry robots and ferals are right where they should be and look spot on as well. Vaultbird? You be the judge. At the corner of West Main and 2nd Streets, I discovered the First Presbyterian Church. The in-game version is similar to most of the churches you'll find in the game, but the styling is similar, and the church is located in approximately the same spot in the game as it is in the real world. So as far as I'm concerned, the First Presbyterian Church was the inspiration for the one in the game. Here at 327 West Main Street, you can find a plaque indicating that this was the birthplace of Stonewall Jackson. Walking down the streets, you'll notice familiar things like the signs on the buildings and the 1950s style of the way they mounted them. This translated perfectly to the Fallout universe. Now, they may not say the same things as they do in the real world, but as you can see, they're pretty close in-game matches. A little further down the street, I discovered one of the open areas between buildings that cuts through from one major street to another. This looks very similar to where in the game you see one of the robot protest signs and a spot that clearly saw some pre-war action. The site in the real world has this little stage, so maybe that inspired the game location? All I can say is that they're in the same location, so you can decide if it's the actual spot or not. Now this fantastic building, the Goff building on Main Street, reminds me more of Tenpenny Tower than anything we see in Clarksburg. But given its location, there is a multi-story brick building in the game, as you can see here. But that's where the similarities pretty much come to an end. Well, that and the 3 large windows at the street level. They are kind of similar, and that, more than anything, leads me to believe that this was the inspiration for the Goff building in the game. And lastly, we have the Palace Theater. In the game, there's a similar white building on Main Street which puts it in the right spot, but as you can see in the game, it's a post office, and it's only 2 stories tall. It may have been the inspiration, but that would be a question for the designers. Well folks, I hope you've enjoyed your visit to Clarksburg. But the day is young, and as it turns out, there's another location about 80 miles north of here in Moundsville, West Virginia. A location where the walls have 1,000 stories, and many of them are still waiting for us behind bars. Hey there, travelers! It's Chipmunk, your faithful scout on the road of history. Ready to earn your Let's Visit a Place That'll Make Your Spine Tingle badge while doing your best to avoid running into Mad Dog Malone? Well, I guess I sure am. Today's stop? A castle that's not quite what it seems. The West Virginia State Penitentiary in Moundsville. Built in 1876, this wasn't a fortress to keep invaders out. It was built to keep inmates in. For more than a century, thousands of men called this place home, although I doubt many wanted this address. Life inside these walls was grueling. The prison was designed for about 480 inmates, but by the 1930s it held nearly 2,000. That meant 4 men to a cell. Conditions were miserable, with temperatures hitting extremes during the year. Sweltering heat in the summer, freezing cold in the winter. But prison life wasn't just iron bars and stone walls. Inmates worked in a self-sustaining economy, making furniture, license plates, even running a prison farm and a coal mine. If you've ever seen an old West Virginia license plate, chances are it was stamped right here. But with so many men crammed together, trouble was never far behind. The penitentiary had its share of violence, daring escapes, and full-blown riots. One of the worst came in 1986 when inmates seized hostages and controlled part of the prison for nearly 2 days. The National Guard even surrounded the place before order was restored. And then there were the executions. Over 90 men were executed here, first by hanging and then later by electric chair. The chair even earned the nickname Old Sparky. Standing in this room, you can feel the weight of history. Some of the men who walked these halls became infamous. In 1931, Harry Powers, the so-called Bluebeard of Quiet Dell, was brought here. He lured women through Lonely Hearts ads. Then he robbed and murdered them. His trial was a media circus, and his crimes later inspired the haunting film The Night of the Hunter. And then there's the eerie brush with Charles Manson. Manson himself never served time here, but he was born in Cincinnati to a West Virginia mother, Kathleen Maddox, who was actually incarcerated at the West Virginia Penitentiary for robbery. That strange connection is enough to give you chills. Stories like these echo throughout the prison. Even today, visitors talk of strange footsteps, cold spots, and shadows in the cells. Paranormal investigators say it's one of the most haunted places in America. When the prison finally closed in 1995, it didn't just fade away. Now it's a place where history and mystery meet. You can take a daytime history tour or a nighttime ghost hunt if you're feeling brave. It's also a favorite filming location for TV shows exploring the paranormal. So whether you're chasing history or chasing ghosts, there's no shortage of stories waiting inside these walls. From its Gothic towers to its haunted legends, the West Virginia State Penitentiary is more than just a prison. It's a reminder of the past that still casts long shadows today. So now that you know all about the former West Virginia Penitentiary, let's explore it and see how it stacks up to our Eastern Regional Penitentiary. Now, I would have been able to go on the tour and see the inside, but I arrived just after the last tour had started and was not able to join. Sorry about that, guys. But the tour is absolutely amazing, and I highly encourage you taking it when you visit. Our first stop, as it is for the rest of the visitors, and certainly was for the former inmates, is the front entrance. Imagine the impression this imposing structure would leave upon you if you were seeing it for the first time. Looking like a medieval castle, it stirs a sense of awe and foreboding, and as you can see, the in-game version complements its real-world counterpart spectacularly. It's another 76 location where the attention to detail is flawless. The front face of the building is perfectly replicated. The only noticeable difference is the state seal, which does not appear in the in-game version, but as you can see, the architecture and stonework match exactly. The parapet wall and towers are a throwback to castles of old, sturdy structures made to stand up to time and punishment, and the West Virginia Penitentiary is no stranger to either of those, as we learned in the history portion. Since its inception in 1866, this building has stood up to everything from extreme weather to riots and remains standing as a testament to its endurance. The penitentiary looms over Moundsville and stands in stark contrast to the quiet rural towns surrounding it. One of the wild and wonderful things that makes traveling around West Virginia so fascinating is the sheer number of unusual places that dot the landscape. Oh, now this looks familiar. Why, this is the intake gate on the south end of the building. The place where you're sure to run into a super mutant or two in a truck that tends to explode pretty frequently. No live ammunition beyond this point. Well, that's a huge difference between the real world and the in-game version. I wouldn't go near this gate without a plasma core or 2, or 3, or 10. Well, maybe since the door is closed, I won't need to worry about it. Hear that, fellas? Keep your big green selves in there. Trying to do a travel show out here. Weapons check. Now I think these super mutants are trying to dupe me again. But check out this gate. The one in the real world is a little different in shape to its in-game counterpart, but the gate is in the exact same spot in the south wall and leads directly into the intake area of the prison. Personally, I'm glad it's closed. I don't think I'd do very well in there. The fence gate that I'm standing here in front of is on the access road to some of the support buildings. On the left, you can see the back wall of the prison, which in the game is where that big hole is that allows you to enter and gain quick access to one of the guard towers. As you can see from this shot through the fence, those guard towers are right where they're supposed to be. This one here is on the corner of the south wall, right near the gate to the access road, and you can get a really good look at it from here. As I headed to the west corner of the wall, I noticed that the south wall didn't have the same parapets that we see on the front. It is exactly the same in the game, which I find pretty cool. They really paid attention to the variations of the building's architecture. At the end of the south wall, you can see the pair of towers that make up the west corner. They are pretty distinctive and definitely have their in-game counterparts. Well, now that we've seen the penitentiary from the outside, let's go meet one of the tour guides and get the inside scoop. Hi, my name's Chip.
Jason.
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you. So, tell us a little bit about what you do here and tell us about the penitentiary.
All right, well, I have been a tour guide here since July of 2017. I'm not originally from this part of the state. I'm from down in Fayetteville near the New River Gorge Bridge National Park, New River Gorge National Park. But I move up here March to November to do these tours and really have a fun time here giving these tours. This was a maximum security state prison, open for 129 years, opened in 1866, and it closed March 27th of 1995, so not that long, about 28 years. This was really for men, but it was for women as well till 1947. One of the ladies that was here was Kathleen Maddox. Many people don't know her, but everyone's heard of her son, Charles Manson. She was here. Juveniles were also kept here over the years as young as 12. It was the youngest inmate I ever actually discovered. But you know, this place had a reputation that was unlike many other state prisons in the country. In the 1970s, the Department of Justice had compiled a top 10 list, so to speak, of the most violent correctional facilities in the United States. And this actually at that time ranked as a number 3. And number 1 was Leavenworth Federal Penitentiary. But nowadays here, April to November, we do historical day tours. They're about 90 minutes, give or take long. Then we stay on the first floor. We give you an idea of what life was like here for those who worked it and lived it. And of course, give you some of the background history. But we also have a lot of mystery here at the penitentiary. And so we do host a lot of paranormal overnight stays for like the ghost hunters and the people into the more daring stuff. And I also do those. Those run from March to November. And then, of course, now October's our busy time of month, going on Halloween. We have a very, very popular haunted house attraction here called the Dungeon of Horrors. And that will be running this year through October 30th. And that's a 45-minute haunted house. They do a very good job with it. On the evenings that the haunted house attraction is open, we also do a 45-minute flashlight ghost walk of the north end of the prison, and it's called a North Walk Tour. I always tell tell people this is one of the only prisons in the country you can have this much fun in, right? Where you can come in and kind of experience the history, experience the mystery, but most importantly, you get to come and go as you please. So it's a place you definitely, if you're in West Virginia or on this side of the country, we love to have you here behind stone walls and steel bars.
So there you have it, folks. You can take some fantastic tours when you come and visit Moundsville. It's an excellent spot to learn some history and all about the penitentiary, and another great Fallout location to visit. Oh, and by the way, in the game there's a super mutant who runs a gang, and his name is Mad Dog Malone. Is there any connection to the real world for that?
Not that I'm aware of right off. Okay. But it wouldn't surprise me, considering all the guys they had in here. Some of them had some pretty crazy nicknames they went by. Wouldn't surprise me, but I'm not confident about that.
Awesome. Well, Jason, thank you so much. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Pleasure meeting you.
I can't thank you enough for spending some time with me. And next time, I'll make sure I get here on schedule.
Hey, that's it. Definitely. Come on back. Maybe bring a sleeping bag and stay tonight.
Oh, I don't think so. All right, folks, there you have it. Come check it out. Great place.